Welcome to the Atomic Impact Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Osborn, and on this podcast, we interview successful business owners for them to share atomic, impactful lessons that they've learned throughout the course of their business, share them with us so that we can all learn together. As always, this show is sponsored by the LinkedIn Reverse Podcast Method, the new way established businesses are creating an reliable acquisition channel of conversations with their ideal prospects. We use this method to book 26 qualified leads and sales calls in 10 days without any ad spend, outreach, in the social media posting, or any of the old, ineffective traditional marketing methods that everybody hates. To find out more, direct message me on LinkedIn to have a chat. That's Jason A. Osborn on LinkedIn, and the link to that will be in the show notes below. But on today's show, our special guest is Steve Bennett. He's the owner of Ascend Business Coaching, where he provides success coaching to his clients. So, Steve, thanks so much for being on the show today. And I want to start off by asking you a question that I love to start off with asking all the time, which is this. If you were somehow able to go back in time and when you started your very first business, but knowing what you know now, what would you do differently in the first 12 months?
Um, I'd stick to the plan.
Okay.
I think when you first start out, you've got that ambition, that drive, that purpose. You sometimes you get blown away by what I did. I got blown away by the success. I chased the success instead of sticking to the plan. Um, and that was a real key sort of moment that I remember. If I'd have stuck to the plan, I'd have probably took a different direction.
Yeah. Yeah. Having stuck, looking back and realizing that you probably would have stuck to the plan a bit more, what has that impacted in the way you run your business now? Because I'm sure there's still things if you're anything like me and a lot of other business owners that I know, we still can get distracted. We can still have things that pull us off course. What have you done to help you stay on course to not keep making that same mistake that you did in the beginning?
I formed I call them success habits, and I talk to a lot of people about it. But I formed daily habits to review, to make sure that I'm aligned with where I want to be and my purpose. Those habits really do help me stay on track.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. Is there any particular habit in particular that has helped you the most?
Journaling,
Yeah.
yeah, I journal. Not meticulously every day, but if I haven't journaled in the day, I'll review the day on an evening and just see where I'm at, and then the next morning I'll write down what I thought about. But the journaling definitely, when you review that and you look at it, and you can see whether you are aligning with your actual goals, your purpose, because I
Yeah.
find that a lot of clarity is lost when you do not sit back and just take a minute and look at where you want to be.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. Journaling has made a significant impact in my business and my life. So totally 100% can relate to what you're saying there. Well, as you've grown your business, what's one of the biggest things that you've done to help you build relationships with your clients, maybe even prospects to help you to be able to get to where you are now?
Relationships, it's all about forming relationships. It's not just treating a client as a client. It's getting to know them, getting to know what they want, where do they want to be, how do they want to get there. And
Mm,
I'm a great believer, you know, in giving we receive. So if you can help that client, you know, and make sure that they're getting what they want, ultimately you end up getting what you want, whether it be satisfaction or the ultimate goal of sort of like being able to um, build the business word of mouth instead of having to 100% marketing all the time, you know.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And speaking of marketing, what's something that you've done to help yourself avoid the spam trap? Because I know as a lot of people build their business, we all have to market, and there's an element of marketing where some people may think it's spammy, and it's just not. But a lot of people do. They fall into that. They're so desperate for business to grow it. What have you done to help you maybe avoid that? Or if you have fallen into that, what have you done to get yourself out of it?
I'm relatively new to the online marketing thing. I've only sort of like been doing it for really the last year. So I don't think I fell into the spam, but what advice I was given, which is working, is making sure that um I go down the line of sort of like doing 2 or 3 videos on the back of 2 or 3 posts. And keeping it relevant, keeping a structure and a strategy within the marketing that allows people to see that they're not being spammed. They can see that it's a genuine person sending genuine posts out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, one of the things that I always love to talk about on these, Steve, is the challenges we've had in business because we all go through them. We all have them. Sometimes we feel like we're alone in that journey. If we can hear other people and the stories that they've gone through, it can be quite encouraging. So, what's the number one biggest challenge that you have faced so far in your business? It can be in any area of the business, but what's the number one challenge you faced so far, and what's the lesson that you've learned from that?
Um, the biggest challenge, you see, I had a very successful business that I sold in 2019. And the biggest challenge that I had in that business when I was building it was um, myself. It was the way that I lost all control of balance between life and business and just went 100 mile an hour to be successful in my business. And I didn't realize it at the time. And I had to go through some serious trauma after I sold the business to actually realize that you have to stay in control of where you want to be. Um, Success can be a fantastic thing. It can also be really, really big demon. And it turned into a
Mm,
demon for me because I was running at 1 million miles an hour in my business. It was going very, very well. I sold it at the height of it. And and when I sold it, it was like I'd just dropped off a cliff. It was like
mm,
I climbed a mountain. I was looking out over my mountain, and while I was looking out over my mountain, so
yeah.
it were just it were crazy. It were one of those situations where when I look back, the challenges that I had were that I did not stick to. I was challenging myself constantly. I was constantly trying to make myself better. I didn't feel like I was worthy. Didn't feel like I was doing the right thing. So I always felt like I didn't do enough. So I made sure I tried to do it better, and that gave me a relative amount of success. Um, and when that success sort of like stopped as such, when I sold the business, it was like, wow, I've lost total direction here. I don't even know who Steve Bennett is anymore, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I've heard that from a lot of people that have sold businesses. It's just like, okay, what now? What did you go through after you sold that business to redefine yourself, rediscover your purpose where it wasn't tied up in business, but it was actually you were able to find it within? What happened in that process?
Um, I had to reinvent myself.
Mm,
And the reason why I'm sat here now, which I can honestly put hand on heart and say I'm happiest I've been, but that's not like, hey, way, I'm fantastic and like, jazz hand sort of thing. It's the inner peace that I've got now has come from rebuilding myself with the right alignment that I spoke about earlier. Balance business with life. I've built a business now. What I do now with my coaching, my public speaking, I, I I have developed it in a way that it aligns with the goals that I've got in my life as well. So the business does not just take over everything. I have that simple balance that I can do my business and then I can sit back and I can have 2 or 3 days off. I can enjoy my life and go back out again if I want to. I can do my business for a full week if I wanted to, but I do it with a passion, knowing that I've got a fantastic balance right now.
that's amazing. That's really amazing. And I think whenever I hear those types of stories, one of the things that I always reflect on is that we don't have to wait until we find that, oh my gosh, I've lost my purpose moment. But if we can understand how to create that balance now, um, it feels like it makes life a little bit easier. So,
You're 100%, you're right. This is it, Jason. We battle. We think that the success is what's going to make life easier, and we battle, and we get into a situation where the success is engulfed you, and you're either in your business or you're owned by your business because you've been so successful, and then you look around and you think, what have I done wrong? Is this
mm,
it? Is this what success is? And that
mm,
was how I was. That was that situation, and I just couldn't believe that that's sort of like the path that I took, when the cold hard reality is that I sacrificed so much family, the freedom and everything else, thinking that success was going to give me that. Yet it was because I was actually hiding behind the success mask that
mm.
caused me so many issues.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I think that's a really powerful thing, hiding behind the success mask. I think there's a lot that we could probably dive into that, which is, yeah, that's something else. Yeah. Well, over the next 2 to 3 years for your business now, what are your goals? What would you like to achieve?
More public speaking into more arenas and doing more. The way that I've built the business is that I can introduce myself through the public speaking, and my true goal is I had a chair moment. I had this chair moment where I was lost, and I realized that nobody was coming to get me. Nobody. There was no savior out there. It was, and the title of my book is "If It Is to Be, It's Up to Me." And that's where that saying comes from, because when I was sat in that chair, I realized that if I didn't change the things that I was doing, I needed to move on. If I carried on doing what I was doing, I was going to kill myself. That wasn't a plea for suicide. That was me understanding that I was abusing myself that much. I was under so much stress. I was drinking heavily. I even went into drugs and all sorts. In that really dark moment, I knew I had to sort myself out. And
Mm,
I class myself as quite lucky in a way that I had done a lot of foundation work before I got to that bad moment. And in them foundations, I drew up this saying, if it is to be, it's up to me. And when I did that, I managed to change some things in my life that actually changed my direction, the way that I was going, and put me into a position where I am today. Um,
yeah.
and I think that is a critical thing. So the next couple of years is all about making sure that, excuse me, making sure that I can put my message out to the people and not get in that chair moment. Save people from not getting into that chair moment, because if you can recognize that that you could tweak a few things, change the direction on your map a little bit, then the fantastic part is that you probably will not end up in the chair moment like me. And that's
Yeah.
what that's my mission, that's my goal, to put it out there to help people, coach people not to make the same mistakes that I did.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. And are there things that you do other than the public speaking? I know you do some coaching and stuff like that. Are you looking to grow the coaching side of the business as well, or just more the public speaking side?
Yeah, the coaching, Elevate and Conquer that you see in the background, that is my online coaching system. So what I'm doing with that, and this is why I've only just started the online presence. I'm old school. I'm the type of person that would drive all around the country to meet everybody. But I realized that time, to get the value, the way that we can move with the times on going online and developing my coaching program online, I've made it accessible to so many people now. So it's my sort of like high ticket in coaching. It isn't always affordable to everybody, but I've made the online programs in such a way that anybody could take it on board. Anybody. And I've built a community underneath it. And the community is a free lifetime membership. You don't even have to join Elevate and Conquer. You've just got to go in there, and people talk to each other. People share their experiences. You know, and that's the key for me to be able to move forward.
That's awesome. That's amazing. Wow. Well, for people that are looking to learn a little bit more about you or get in touch with you, Steve, what's the best way for them to do that?
Well, the first thing I would do is plug the book. If it is to be, it's up to me. It tells my story. It tells me where I went. It tells me the good, the bad, and the ugly. It also gives you the insights of how I rebuilt myself. And that you can go onto my website, which is ascendcoaching.co.uk, and on that website you can go through and see the things that I do on there. You can take what we call the wake up audit, and the wake up audit sort of like gives you an evaluation of where you would want to be in my Elevate and Conquer program. And that to be honest is a great way to check out what I do. There's no obligation to any of it, so it's just a case of checking it out, see what you think about it, and see whether it suits you. Because the key to it all is that no matter who you go to, if you feel like you need some help like I needed, you've got to go to somebody who you relate to. You know, it's pointless just thinking, oh yeah, that sounds all right, and just go with the flow, because you know, if you don't relate to that person, you're not going to open up. You're not going to be able to probably put yourself in the position that I did.
Amazing, amazing. Well, I definitely recommend everyone checking out the different places that Steve just said there. His website, check out his book. I know he can be very helpful to you in many, many ways. So, Steve, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. It's been absolutely great having you on. It's been a pleasure. And just thank you for being very open as well in your journey. I think that's really helpful to a lot of people. So, thank you very much for
No
that.
problem.
Yeah, man. And as a reminder for everyone listening as well, this show is sponsored by the LinkedIn Reverse Podcast Method, the new way established businesses are creating a reliable acquisition channel of conversations with their ideal prospects that doesn't rely on any of the old, ineffective traditional methods that everybody hates. To find out more, direct message me on LinkedIn to have a chat. That's Jason A. Osborn on LinkedIn. The link to that will be in the show notes below. And until next episode, stay inspired.